also to help you and support you the initiatives of WynActive and Wyndham City. Hi and welcome once again, marvellous Thursday to the WynActive Webcast. We've got another, I think, an exciting guest, a guest that's going to show us a unique perspective to this social isolation that we're all experiencing. But hope you're well. And speaking of people that are just kicking goals all over the place, welcome James Robertella.
Hi Barry, thanks again for having us. Hello to everyone out there, and hopefully you've had a good active day. I know we're in our off week for our Find Your 30 challenges, so hopefully people out there have been resting but keeping active and ready for week 2. But very excited to introduce our guests today. Have had a bit to do with George over the time with the sport and recreation team at Wyndham City Council, and I know he brings a lot of passion to support the community. So really keen to get into a bit about that and what he's doing now for Reclink. So I'd like to welcome George Yengi to the WynActive Webcast from Reclink. Welcome, George.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Barry, for having me. Yeah, it's been an honour to be able to share this platform with you guys. You guys have been doing a lot of work in the background, obviously.
Yeah, and I think today will be a great chance to hear about that work. Well, to start us off, George, do you want to maybe give all the listeners and watchers out there a bit of background around how you've come to be the sports coordinator for Reclink Australia?
Yeah, why not? I think I didn't know whether being a coordinator or a sports coordinator was what I was going for, but I ended up because I ended up going back to uni and doing a youth work degree, and then a couple of years later I ended up at this table where it was taking my love for football and community and then putting it all together, and that's what the role came out. It was really exciting being at the interview when they said you're going to be doing both of those. I'm like, yes. And then I was lucky enough to be drafted to Wyndham, so it was really great. So it made it really easy for me as well, because I live not far from my local, so it was easier.
George, can you tell us a little bit about Reclink and what Reclink does? Because I know they're a big organisation that has a big influence across, I don't know, Melbourne, Australia. I'm not sure, but can you give us a little bit of background about Reclink and then how you fit in your role?
Look, I think Reclink is, I've been there for quite a short period of time, so 2 years. It's an organisation that's been around for almost 30 years, and they've been operating within Melbourne and also now nationwide. I'm just on a tiny part of Reclink, which is the Active Vic part, which is that's where I came in and got to know about this organisation a little bit more. The more I work with Reclink, the more I find out all the things that they're doing in the background. So it's an organisation that basically it's all about including the unincluded, and it's about engaging communities that are disadvantaged, offering opportunity to distract you from whatever is going on in your life, but offering something different to take your mind off it, so you can get a little bit of a breather and be able to kind of like come up with a better strategy forward, and linking you up with agencies that they partner up with. And it's been really great watching that happen and being part of the team helping that to happen as well, because sometimes we take the tiny things for granted, but Reclink does kind of try to magnify those tiny things and turn it into something that's really wonderful, using obviously individuals. Sorry about my phone. Working together, sorry, my phone's still going on. Working with the individuals and participants that within the communities to try to make sure that we help them kind of like find their path and back to the mainstream community as well, not to feel so isolated. The work we do goes from sports to liaisoning and working with service providers, settlement groups, communities, individuals, rehab places, mental health. We try to work with as many people as we can, because this is the spaces that I think we as a community probably need to try to support as much as we can. because each of those people are there. Sometimes some of them might be isolated. They don't feel like they belong. So part of it is to try to make them feel included.
I think that's it sounds like you do a lot of things, I suppose, and the work that you're doing is having a really big impact for those, as you say, that might not feel included within the community. So that's brilliant. Maybe talk to us about one or two of the your favourite programs that you do within Wyndham, and some of those programs, obviously, that to do with sport and what you're currently doing, I suppose, with them.
I think Wyndham was probably one of the best places that I learned to navigate the the diversity that we have in Wyndham. It's just a little bit of a challenge, but there's been really great writing programs that you start to see what Wyndham looks like when you put them in one space. I think my indoor soccer program and the summer program for soccer as well have been great. And there's one particular program that I didn't even know we needed it, which is Zumba for mums and bubs. Which started in Menelik's, and it couldn't be of a perfect time because my wife and I were trying for a baby. We were expecting a baby, and I had this group of parents that were coming in, and I was learning so much from them on what to prepare myself for. So that was probably one of my favorite programs because I was not only learning from them. It just yeah, and it kind of got really kind of like stuck into it, and it's one of those programs I think we do need to kind of foster in Wyndham because there is a lot of parents that are there, and like Wyndham's growing so quickly, and new families are being made, and there's families that are sitting out there, and I think these programs have a space in there to be part of the structure of Wyndham. Yeah, so it was really cool, and then the Sunday soccer one was really interesting because having to be able to work with the rec team and be able to secure a ground for over summer from September to March allowed us to literally engage about 80 kids a week in such a short period of time. And this was all in the heart of all that like African gang newspaper saga. But it was different when you come there and you're like, well, where are these kids that you're putting on paper? Well, I don't see them. They're here. They're just kicking the ball around and hanging out and having a chat with their friends every Sunday. So it was just, for me, felt like we need to do Saturday and Sunday so that we can keep more than one place.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were good. And then the indoor soccer was really linking up with the sports center by the riverside, and they came on board. They were like, why not? We'll give you the space. And then we partner up with Youth Up the Street, which is really great as well. And we were able to not only deliver a program where young people feel included, but we're able to capture all those different diversities that we have within Wyndham, and also with the support from youth services and Youth of the Street. We had the right workers there as well. So part of it was like, we don't want you to come in there in a suit, just come in there in active wear. I think we managed to convince Clifford to come down and have a kick with the kids. It was really great. And then we got the North Melbourne came across as well. So those are the things that we started implementing and putting into those spaces. So that became as a little pool where you can go in there and see what Wyndham looks like. And if you wanted to work within that space, then you probably need to understand the young people as well and what they're going through, because you could see that to get parents' trust to be able to drop those kids off, it took a while. And then when we started getting the trust, we're seeing more kids coming in, parents are dropping them off, and even coming early to pick them up and watching the game for a while. So space became quite simple. We're having every Thursday, we're getting between 5 and 9 o'clock up to 40 kids.
Wow.
And that so it was just started off with like 5 and then just grew. It was supposed to be like a school holiday program. Ended up running for a whole year. They just keep running. Definitely enjoyed those three programs.
George, I think we don't want to lose sight of the fact that you're going to be a father. Congratulations. That's amazing news. You must be ecstatic.
Oh, mate, she's arrived actually. She arrived just before COVID. So
so you are a dad. Hey, that's even better news.
Yeah.
Tell us all about
I'm telling you, you talk about gratitude. Yes, this is one of those things. Like, you got to look at the positive side. But yeah, she's arrived, and like, she decided to come out early on Australia Day.
So hey, that's like, I want to talk about the programs, but I'm really excited to know, a new father, a new young family, all of a sudden thrust into, this unusual, unique set of circumstances that we've got. We're social isolation. Tell us, how are you coping? What are you doing? And like, you seem very up and about. How are you coping with all of that and staying motivated and up and about?
Personally, the first couple of weeks was hard. Going through the roller coaster of different emotions, anger, frustration, everything you can think of. Because, I think once you dive into community work, you can't help thinking about other people. And also when you start seeing things, people are not getting the message of social distancing and isolation, it becomes more frustrating. Why aren't you understanding? This is really important that you know. And I think that also was tied in was being a new dad and the risks that come with that as well. And look at, like, if you get sick, I get sick, then my family's sick, and why are you doing that? But that's more like my own personal anxieties to the situation then, and then eventually having to just take a little moment and just a breather, I think allows you to start looking at where can you channel some of that energy you have and use it in a more positive way. And I think that's where having, Reclink was quite creative in that extent that they came up with a new initiative to keep us kind of like engaged with the community. So took on point of doing the Reclink Reconnect initiative, which therefore touch base with all our participants that we can get and just check out how they're doing. But it was good to see a lot of them are still doing all right, even though jobs was an issue. But there was some that were really still doing really well, quite positive as well. So it's kind of like, can't be gloom when everybody else is kind of like trying to be, move on and go through. Yeah. So it was really good to drive some of that energy out there and then also get some like feedback from them as well. And most of it was positive. Just have to see what happens in the next couple of weeks as we go forward. Yeah.
And so I know, George, that a lot of the work you're doing is within the African community, as you sort of touched on with the various soccer competitions. What has been that feedback when you've been in touch with the community? How have the community been dealing with it all? And I'm sure, as you sort of touched on, the challenges with work and anxiety about getting outside and the social distancing. What have been the main factors and bits of feedback that you've heard?
Oh, look, I think it's a lot of positive, and there's also a lot of basically cultural difficulties as well that comes with that, challenges in regards to, our community, and especially my community as African community, and also especially South Sudanese community, we naturally are, should we say, community-oriented people. We need to be together all the time. And when we meet, is we've got handshakes, hugs, days. So what COVID does is just take away that stuff, and then you start to miss it a lot. And given the new context in which we all find ourselves in, our new home, should we say Australia, a lot of the things that are set up is quite different. We're so far apart. There's walls everywhere. And I look at, for example, I started reflecting back to how I grew up and how all our houses and huts were all facing one another. It's in a circle. So, and now it's just like, yes, that's what we're all about, like community. And it does get really difficult, but I think the community have managed really well. They've done certain things really well. From what I've heard and hearing, our parents are adapting a little bit better as well. The young people were still struggling, I think, because there was this, this narrative that this thing was not going to affect young people, So, and that's not just a cultural thing. A lot of young people are like, oh, I'm fit. It's not going to affect me, But it's about when you take that moment and wait for that pin to drop, thinking, if I do carry it home, then mum and dad and uncle are in risks. And that usually, it did drop eventually for a lot of them, but we still struggle with some of the restrictions and the rules that were changing so quickly, and there's no time to get your head around it, and information getting out there in time was an issue as well. And also the literature that was being pushed out wasn't really easy to digest for a lot of the cult community as well. So, but I think people did all right so far.
Oh, good stuff. Thanks for that. That was a great insight, and you talked about when you grew up with all the huts facing each other, and you said there's so many walls, and I never thought of it that way before, James, either. There's so many walls that separate us all. So if you're used to that real close community, it would have been hard for everyone, George.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're quite correct.
Yeah. Look, it's that time, James. I think where we need to express our gratitude, and you've already done some of that, George. About your new young family, new baby daughter, etc. But perhaps expand a little bit about what amazing time that is for you. But also, what else are you grateful for at this time?
Look, I think being able to still be working from home, as you can see, I've got a corner desk. It's beautiful. Probably will never get that, but for now, I can say I have a corner desk. I worked for the corner desk before with a view, so I'm definitely grateful for that. But on the other hand, so I think coming to Australia and calling Australia home, and having to experience this experience of worldwide that everybody's experiencing here has made things very easy, and also there was enough support, and that's probably one thing they can be grateful about, because I think this experience is experienced by everybody around the world, and there'll be a completely different levels, they'll have completely different experience. Without the support, I think it would just be so hard. So there's a lot of people who are doing it here in Australia. I hope that's something that could, maybe they can get some help eventually. You got your international students, people who are stuck here, they can't go home and they can't get any help. But it seems like the community is doing their best to make sure that these people get some help, and I hope they just keep doing it until they get back on their feet.
I think those sentiments are well felt, Barry, and it sounds like you have a lot to be grateful for, George, and they're wonderful. They're wonderful, and appreciate you sharing them with us. And to give you a bit of background, you might know that Barry and I have to each and every day we do a Wyndham Webcast. We've got to be grateful for something, which is a real positive challenge that we like to take upon ourselves. So it's come the time, Barry, over the course of the week, and today, what are you feeling that you're grateful for?
Well, I was reflecting back on last weekend, and what a wonderful weekend it was, and just the sun, and it was a good temperature, etc. A bit cold at night, but I reflected back on the wonderful autumn days we have here in Melbourne. Normally, it hasn't been this year, but normally we just have weeks almost of just beautiful weather. It's about 21, 22 degrees. Go into the evening, lovely days, etc. And so I'm grateful, as I was reflecting back on last weekend, on just those days that we're able to have. We suddenly could get outside, enjoy that sun, enjoy the atmosphere of everyone being out. So yeah, I'm grateful for those wonderful autumn days that we have had on the weekend, but also traditionally do have here in Melbourne, James. And so that's what I'm grateful for today. Probably reflecting back on last weekend because I'm thinking about next weekend, but that's irrelevant. What about you, James? What are you thankful and grateful for today?
Look, I think, George, as you may know, I'm certainly grateful for all the big things in life and family, and being able to work and still have an impact with people. But it's the smaller things that I really, really enjoy, and I'm encouraging everyone to enjoy the finer things in life and those small things. And for me, I'm grateful with the current cooler conditions. I'm grateful for just whipping on a pair of trackies and the feeling of just getting around with some warmth and I kind of enjoy my trackies, and I'm fortunate enough to be wearing them during the week for work. It's not every day that you get to do that, but yeah, look, I suppose those are the little comforts in life that I'm certainly grateful for, and yeah, very appreciative for. So no, thank you both for sharing that, and again, George, I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing the back end of this current situation, and we're all counting down the days till we get some normality. But until then, we're practicing all our safe social distancing and whatnot. But what does your role look like moving forward, and the work you're doing with Reclink? What does the future hold for the next sort of coming up the next few months?
I think I can't wait to get out. Excuse the noise in the background. My little niece is making noises, so I might have to.
That's good.
It's happening, but I'm looking forward to get out, obviously, and being out in the community as well, and basically looking at what needs to be done, and how can we kind of like pick what we left, pick up from where you left.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there will be challenges, but I think my team and my support head office, they basically have a good plan for us to roll back out, and we're going to try to execute those plans, and hopefully we'll get the same results as we have in the past, and kind of like rebuild those bridges again and move forward. I think we've got online programs that are starting already. We've got Zumba, Pilates, yoga classes. We've got we teamed up with a few other agencies as well to try to make sure there's free online contents that people can access as well, and just kind of like link up back with the communities in Wyndham as well, and community centres, and we do get with the council itself to try to make sure that everybody's got something to do. The one thing that I can say, which is the final thing, is this situation I think there's no reason why you can't do any fitness you want, because there's people giving out free how to get fit. Like there's so many hacks out there that I'm just like, yeah, this is good. So I think I was lucky to share a platform with one of the lovely African girl who plays for, I think, Richmond, and she was saying how like she's now taught herself how to edit videos. I'm like, there you go, learn something.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, looking forward to go back.
Fantastic. And I tell you what, I think we're so lucky in Wyndham to have you with us, George, and helping, the not only the African community, the youth, and the broader community to become engaged, to be active, like we've talked about so many times, James, doing all of those different things. And but I have to ask you this question, George. Your daughter's name. I didn't hear it. What is your daughter's name, and is she healthy, and how's she going, and how old is she now?
She is healthy. Her name is Lily. She is almost going to be 4 months on Sunday, and she's definitely worked out. I'm the weakest one in the family, so she's worked out how to twist my hands every time I lift her up. So it's been really this is one of the things I can say. The gratefulness is I think you're right. Finest things. I got to spend some time with her at home, and having your lunch break, and she's there, and hear her making noises in the background. It's been really great as well. And yeah, it's just the moments like this you can't get. So you gotta enjoy it while you can. So that's it.
Look, from experience, I don't think you've had this experience yet, James, but from experience, and my children are certainly grown up and in their early 20s, but treasure these days, George. They're just absolutely magical, as every moment with your kids are in every stage. And I say to a lot of people, James, being a parent is the hardest, but the greatest thing you'll ever do. So, just fantastic stuff. And I can see the joy on your face.
I keep getting these two advice said, oh, they're great when this is the best stage. No, wait, when they start doing this, the best stage. And people are like, it's quite contradicting. It's almost like, yeah, we're just gonna watch you just go through this because because I'm like, let's fast forward to them being older. And they're like, no, you don't want that. But so it's been really interesting having to hear the different narrative on what everybody's experience and what it is. And it's been, I was lucky enough to watch a friend when he asked me, because he's having a kid. I think they'll be having a kid right now because they were at the hospital at the early stage of almost towards the late stages, sorry. And they're going to have a kid. And I used to play football with this guy. And I'm just sitting there going, he's expecting a kid at the worst time in the history of people. And he's like, what do you do? I'm like, dude, I don't even know the answers. Mine is only a couple of weeks old. And I think it's almost like when you're about to kick off in a game, you're nervous, and then the whistle go, and then you just do it. That's it. And it's just, and someone told me that as well, and I just didn't believe it until she was there. And you're like, oh, okay, I got to change the nothing. That's the thing. I'm gonna put that on my resume. I think I'm good at that now. So
yeah, brilliant.
It's been excellent. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for joining us, George. Really appreciate you sharing all your insights, and wish you all the best and with family life and your work with Reclink. And we'll be sharing a lot of the Reclink material on the Wyndham Together website. So it's great to hear all about that. And once again, Barry, thank you for another great edition of the WynActive webcasts, and look forward to joining you next time.
Thanks, James. Thanks, George. Everyone out there, look after yourself, look after each other, stay healthy, keep smiling, and of course, keep active. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Thank you.